It began with a single word, just one word, casual, familiar, but to some, unforgivably wrong. It happened live, during one of Britain's most solemn moments, the Armistice Day memorial service. Viewers across the country watched in silence as names were read, trumpets sounded, and cameras panned across faces that carry the nation's history. Then, in the midst of that quiet reverence, a presenter uttered a name that jolted many from their seats. Kate Middleton. The words may have seemed harmless to some, even affectionate to others, but for many royal watchers, it was an unthinkable slip, and one that quickly spiraled into outrage. Before we dive in, there's something I need to share with you. Over the past few days, thousands have watched these stories unfold, but most haven't subscribed. If you're one of them, I invite you now to join us. Subscribe to Crownverse so you never miss the next chapter in this unfolding royal history. Now, let's go back to the moment that set social media ablaze. The BBC was broadcasting the Armistice Day service live, one of the few events in Britain where formality, precision, and respect are expected to the letter. The nation pauses to honor its fallen heroes. The presenters speak with measured tones, aware that every phrase will be replayed, analyzed, and remembered. So, when the Princess of Wales appeared on screen, many expected the usual introduction. Her Royal Highness, the Princess of Wales, Catherine. Instead, the presenter said, almost casually, Kate Middleton. For some viewers, it was just a name, the same one the public had used for years before her marriage. But for others, it was an insult, a failure to recognize the dignity and evolution of the woman who is now the future queen. Among those who spoke out was television presenter Kirstie Allsopp, known for her straightforward opinions and strong views on British culture and media. Within minutes of the broadcast, she took to social media, expressing her frustration. "This is one of my bugbears," she wrote. "It is Catherine. The Middleton bit is just bloody rude. But most of all, it is Catherine. HRH, the Princess of Wales, actually. And if it kills you, it's Catherine, Wales." Her words struck a nerve. To some, she was simply defending protocol. To others, she was standing up for respect, for the idea that names matter, especially when spoken by one of the world's most respected broadcasters. The BBC, for its part, did not issue an official apology, and it's still unclear whether the slip was simply a momentary mistake or a reflection of the network's informality toward the royal family. But by the time the broadcast ended, the internet had already taken over. Comments flooded social media. Some users echoed Allsopp's fury, calling the use of Kate Middleton disrespectful and lazy journalism. One wrote, "How can they still be calling her that after all these years? She's the Princess of Wales. Show some respect." Another viewer went even further, posting, "Another reason to defund them. They refuse to call her Duchess, they refuse to call her Princess, will they refuse to call her Queen when the time comes?" But not everyone agreed. Some users argued that Kate Middleton remains how most of the public identifies her, and that insisting on full titles makes her seem distant or out of touch. To them, the issue was not disrespect, but accessibility. And that's where this story becomes about more than just a name. It's about what that name represents. Since her marriage to Prince William in 2011, Catherine's journey from commoner to royal has been one of transformation, a delicate balancing act between warmth and protocol, modernity and tradition. She has been described as the monarchy's stabilizing force, the woman who quietly carries the weight of continuity after decades of royal turbulence. But in the public imagination, her name, Kate Middleton, is tied to the image of the young woman who caught a prince's eye long before titles and tiaras became part of her life. To some, that name keeps her relatable. To others, it keeps her stuck in the past. Kirstie Allsopp clearly belongs to the latter camp. For her, calling the Princess of Wales Kate Middleton is more than informal, it's dismissive. And in her view, when a respected institution like the BBC does it, it reinforces a lack of respect for the monarchy itself. It's worth noting that Allsopp is not anti-BBC. In her post, she made it clear that she loves the organization, admires its journalists, and recognizes the difficulty of maintaining balance in today's media environment. But she still called this a bugbear, something that drives her crazy, because, as she sees it, accuracy and respect should never be optional. What makes this particular story resonate is how it reflects a deeper shift in the public's relationship with the royal family. Gone are the days when royal titles were universally revered. Today, formality competes with familiarity. The media often walks a fine line between respecting tradition and keeping things casual enough for modern audiences. But where is the line between relatable and rude? That question has no easy answer. Royal protocol dictates that Catherine should be referred to as Her Royal Highness the Princess of Wales. Informally, the Princess of Wales or Catherine is acceptable. Kate Middleton, however, was her maiden name, technically obsolete since the day she married into the royal family. Yet for over a decade, newspapers and television networks have continued to use it, partly because it's recognizable, and partly because it fits the cultural shorthand the public already understands. But on a day as solemn as Armistice Day, one meant to honor service, sacrifice, and history, the choice of words felt especially jarring. For those watching, it wasn't about titles, it was about tone. Even for the BBC, which has faced its share of criticism in recent months, the backlash was sharp. The network was accused by some of showing disrespect, and by others of feeding into a growing sense that British institutions are losing touch with traditional values. The irony is that Catherine herself, known for her composure, would likely have ignored the entire thing. She has rarely, if ever, commented on how she is addressed in the media. Insiders have described her as patient and diplomatic, someone who understands that public perception is as unpredictable as the weather. But her supporters are far less forgiving. One royal watcher wrote, "She's earned her title through years of service, dignity, and grace. Calling her Kate Middleton is like pretending none of that ever happened." Still, not everyone saw offense. Some argued that people like Allsopp were overreacting, that names evolve naturally, and that trying to control language only alienates audiences. One journalist even remarked, half-jokingly, "We called her Kate Middleton for 10 years. It's not easy to retrain an entire nation." And yet, those who defend tradition say this isn't about retraining a nation, it's about consistency and respect. The royal family is built on hierarchy, titles, and decorum. Details that may seem trivial, but are, in many ways, the foundation of the institution's identity. When a broadcaster gets those details wrong, it doesn't just irritate royal fans, it sends a message, however unintended, that those old values no longer matter. That's what made Allsopp's reaction resonate. She wasn't just defending Catherine, she was defending the idea that some things still deserve precision. The BBC, for its part, has not confirmed whether the mistake was accidental, nor has it commented on whether its staff received updated guidance afterward. Without an official statement, most viewers have assumed it was a simple slip of the tongue, a moment of familiarity where formality was expected. But for those who noticed, it was a reminder of how small words can carry heavy meanings. Because this isn't the first time the media has struggled with Catherine's evolving identity. When she first married Prince William, many outlets hesitated between Kate and Catherine. She was dubbed the People's Princess 2.0, compared endlessly to Diana, and labeled by her maiden name as though her royal title were temporary. Over the years, she's worked to define herself beyond those comparisons, through charitable work, mental health advocacy, and her strong presence as a mother and future queen. Yet, 1 decade later, the media still clings to the name that predates all of it. Perhaps it's habit, perhaps it's branding, or perhaps, as some cultural critics suggest, it reflects an unconscious resistance to accepting her as a full royal figure. a subtle way of keeping her tethered to her pre-palace identity. That interpretation remains unverified and speculative, but it's a perspective that circulates often among commentators who analyze how class and status influence MIDDLETOWN. And that brings us to an uncomfortable truth. The royal family has always embodied the tension between accessibility and authority. Too much formality, and they appear aloof. Too much familiarity, and they seem diminished. The BBC's error, intentional or not, became a flashpoint for that tension. It showed how quickly the public divides between those who revere the monarchy as an institution and those who see it as just another piece of cultural history. In the end, the moment lasted only seconds, but in a world of instant clips, hashtags, and outrage cycles, seconds are enough to ignite debate. Within hours, the story spread across social media and online outlets. The name Kate Middleton was trending again, ironically, for the very reason Kirstie Allsopp had condemned it. It's unclear whether the Princess of Wales even noticed. She's known for her calm and for keeping her focus on larger things, her duties, her family, her causes. But for her supporters, the issue goes beyond her personal reaction. It's about what she represents: continuity, discipline, and a quiet kind of authority that doesn't demand attention, but deserves it. For Kirstie Allsopp, this wasn't just about protocol. It was about standards, for the media, for the monarchy, and for public discourse. She emphasized that she still loves the BBC, still respects its mission, and still believes in its importance. But love, as she showed, doesn't mean silence when something feels wrong. In a time when so many traditions are being redefined, the power of names and the respect attached to them still matters, especially for a royal family trying to stay relevant in a changing world. Whether the BBC will address the backlash remains to be seen. It may blow over as quickly as it began, but for millions of viewers who still hold the monarchy close to heart, those two words, Kate Middleton, were more than a name. They were a reminder that respect, even in something as simple as a title, is earned, and it should never be forgotten. As the service concluded that day, cameras captured the princess standing quietly, hands clasped, eyes lowered, her expression composed as always. She didn't need to say anything. Her presence, as ever, spoke louder than words. And perhaps that's the lesson in all of this, that while the world debates names, the woman behind them continues to embody what the monarchy strives to be: steady, silent, and unshaken. But still, one question lingers in the air. How can the media honor modernity without erasing the meaning of respect? Maybe the answer lies somewhere between Catherine and Kate, between formality and familiarity. Maybe it's not about titles at all, but about remembering the balance between the two. And perhaps that's what Kirstie Allsopp wanted most of all. Not outrage, but awareness. That even in an age of headlines and hashtags, some names still deserve to be spoken with care.